Welcome to Kung Fu Havoc number 2. This is part 2 of the State of America. Again, I left off on police reform. So now I want to talk about cooperation. Alright? I want to talk about cooperation. So the subject of cooperation in general can go from anywhere to cooperating with the police to wearing our COVID-19 mask. Alright? Which is about to be a state mandate in Virginia. So, if you're not in Virginia, whoop-de-doo. So, first let's go with cooperation with the police. Alright, let's do that first, because what better way to start a video from where I ended the other video than to pick up with the police. Alright, so this is not so much about police reform as more of human response. Alright, so when you are pulled over by the police, even if you got an outstanding warrant, the first thing you don't do is try to run from the police. That doesn't work out for anybody. Ever. 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 Even a good cop could fucking fuck up in your life by accident because you decided to do something stupid. So this specifically is for you young men of color. When a cop starts giving you grief, do not resist. Do not fight. Please, for the sake of your ass getting home that day, or the next day, or whatever, comply with the fucking officer's commands. Comply with the order in which they give you. If they ask you to step out the car, step out of the goddamn car. If they ask you, can they search the car? As long as you don't have drugs on you, you don't have anything to fear. As long as you don't have a warrant on you, you don't have anything to fear. It's when you have done bad shit and the cops get you and you have a warrant on you, or you've killed someone, or you got a car full of fucking drugs, that's when you got a little bit of problems. To that, I tell you, you probably should have thought about that before you decided to leave your house and take that shit with you. Okay, that's kind of your fault, because you're kind of responsible for what you do. Alright, I'm not being a dick about the shit, I'm just telling you like it is. You're kind of responsible for your own actions as a grown person if you decide, hey, I want to sell drugs. So, there you go. And unless you live in a state where it's legal to do that, unless you can sell cannabis and CBD oils and shit like that. Now, don't take this wrong, because I don't have anything against anybody who smokes weed. I don't do it myself. I'm not gonna hurt you or knock you for it. If that's what you want to do, it's your life. Knock yourself out. But I'm drug free. All right. Now, I heard CBD oils has its advantages. I may need it. I suffer from chronic back pain constantly. But I'm more scared of what is it going to do to me versus can I pass a piss test. Alright? Because I don't think you can ingest CBD oil. I don't know. I don't fuck with that shit. I know that you can have pot brownies and shit like that. I don't fuck with that shit. But, I'm not going to knock you if you do. Just don't bring any to me. I would prefer not to have any of that shit in my system. So, therefore, because I don't think drugs is for me. Alright? Let me explain that before we go too deep into compliance. Alright, so I've had a few bad experiences with drugs. I've seen drugs bring down mighty of men. Not many of men, mighty of men. Alright? And the reason why I say mighty of men, because I've seen drugs bring people who were like cut, built, buffed, go from being Arnold Schwarzenegger to Mr. Puniverse. I've seen a young lady OD on heroin. We saved her. Hello, A. That's her initial for her first name. Last name P. AP. I hope you're well. And I've seen worse shit. As a kid, one of my childhood idols died. The first time he did drugs, he OD'd. His name was Len Bias. He was a basketball player. From that day forth, I've swore that I would never do drugs. So I never have. I drank a little bit of alcohol. So you can count that as doing drugs. So I'm going to own that shit. I drank Bartles and James beer or wine coolers until I was 21. Once I became legal, I didn't want Bartles and James anymore. Hell, I didn't want wine coolers at all. I did like Seagram's a little bit, but that was because I was a big Bruce Willis fan. And he used to sing the song, Seagram's, golden wine cooler, Seagram's, golden wine cooler is wet and it's dry, golden wine cooler, my, golden wine cooler. Shout out to Bruce Willis on that. But anyway, or his alter ego, Bruno. Anyway, that being said, that's my guilt. All right, I drink vodka every now and again. As of 2018, I haven't had a drink in damn near 2 years. All right, because I haven't taken a drink all of 2020, and I haven't touched a drink in 2019. I found better outlets, so to speak, you know, and after that, now if I feel like I want to drink, I'll just go get in my Scarlet Spider outfit and do some cosplay. Anyway, I don't do drugs. That's the bottom line. I don't not support people who do drugs as long as they do it responsibly and they're not hurting children or animals. Then I don't have a problem with them doing it. Just don't blow it in my face, okay? So, therefore, if you smoke weed, good for you. If you smoke crack, I hope you get some help. If you snort coke or if you inject heroin or anything, please get some help. And now we're going to get back on complying with cops. I just wanted to get that out of the way. So, I got into a few problems with the law. I have been handcuffed twice in my lifetime, but both times it was for events that I had no criminal action in. The first time I got handcuffed was because I was driving a stolen van. I told you guys this story before. The long and short is I got my face jacked and I got put in handcuffs. I also threatened to beat the guys who owned the van up while wearing the handcuffs. And a K-9 officer, thank you sir, got me from going to jail. The second time, at the university, my two cousins got to fighting over a cigarette. We wound up in handcuffs. Luckily, they smashed the Colt 45, the big-ass bottle, before the cops got there. So that kept us from going to jail. And so they looked at our ID, and I looked younger than them, but I was the oldest. So they released us on my authority. I took them. I found our cousin R-Dog. Because they're kin to him by his mother's side. I'm kin to him on his father's side. So I told R-Dog, I said, look here. You take your cousins back down to the country. We just got out of handcuffs. I'm going the fuck home. I'm not going with these motherfuckers anywhere else. So that was the second time I've been handcuffed. So I've been handcuffed twice in my life legally. Now, for training purposes, I've had used handcuffs. Okay? So it can be done. If I ever find my metal handcuffs, they're real handcuffs. They're just old school. They're not like, the cops can't use them because they're like magic trick handcuffs, but they're literally real handcuffs. So I lost the keys. So luckily they have that trigger thing. But anyway, so that being said, we tend to forget that cops are people too. If you 9 times out of 10 comply with the cop, it's a good chance that you're going to go home tonight. It's a really good chance. Again, unless you are a noted drug dealer, a noted murderer, you've done something stupid, you have a warrant, and things like that. When you comply with the police officers, you have a better chance of actually making it home. But I don't know what gets in young people's heads to decide, I'm under arrest. I'm gonna run. That there is basically suicide. Alright? I'm sorry. That shit is suicide. There is nothing that you could have possibly done worse in your life than run from the cops. I don't care who you are. The worst thing you could possibly do, especially if you're a man of color, is run from the cops. Alright? Because here's how getting arrested pretty much works. They're going to run you down. They're going to process you. So they're going to fingerprint you. You're going to be on record from now on into eternity. But if it's like a misdemeanor or some shit like that, it's more than likely not going to happen. Now, when you are a felon, which means like you rob banks or you've killed someone or you're a noted drug dealer, that's a whole nother horse of another color. Those guys, I'm not giving any advice because you've already fucked your life up already. You pretty much fucked your life up by being a drug dealer, being a murderer, being a convicted felon. It's just bad in general because a lot of people don't even give felons a full chance to explain what happened. And there are good felons. Don't get me wrong with this video. There are good felons. There are just people who made a big, horrible fucking mistake. And they have to pay for it for the rest of their life. You understand what I'm saying? There are bad felons. and there are good felons. Because the good felons are really people who just made a horrible fucking mistake. You know, it's nothing wrong with making a mistake. But here's the thing about making mistakes. Hopefully you learn from them. Which goes back to complying with the police. When a police officer wants to arrest you, they're going to arrest you by any means necessary. It's a whole lot easier for you to give them your wrist and not resist than to put up a scuffle. Plus, you're going to probably be outnumbered. So, why ask for an ass whooping? You know, why do that? Do not ask for an ass whooping. You have to comply. If you are the following colors, in some white people, I advise you highly to comply. And yes, white people have also been killed by the police. Google it. That shit's a fact. White people have been killed by the police. Black people aren't the only ones. Asians and Mexicans have also been killed by the police. Granted, it's not as well spread as blacks and whites. Because both blacks and whites have an equal number of what's been killed by the police. Blacks probably have a little bit higher rate of it happening, but whites have had it happen as well. So that's why the black rate has been higher than the white rate of death by cop. The Asian rate and the Mexican rate, which they're kind of the same, because technically if you are a Mayan, Aztec, Incan, etc., if you're from South America or North American, Native American descent, your ass is actually an Asian. But anyway, their death rate by cop isn't as high as we would say the black death rate versus the white death rate. So if you are of color, if you are black, Asian, Mexican, whatever you want to call yourself, Polynesian, Samoan, anybody who's not white, you need to comply with the cops. White people, you also need to comply with the cops. But sometimes white people have died complying with the cops. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. You can't let your fear rule you out, but if you're going to comply with the cops, you have to be unruly. Just comply with the cops, and you're going to be just fine. Alright, so we're going to end this video and go into the final video about these damn masks. So thanks for watching.